And our bodies are not meant to live in perpetual states of fear and stress. That is what shortens lifespans. I don't know by how much on average. I'm sure it's different for everyone. But that fight, flight, or even freeze mode is only meant to be used sparingly when you're actually in danger, not because you're fearful of possibly becoming in danger. There's a huge difference there. So find a way to... Hello, beautiful beings of light. My name is Monica. Welcome or welcome back to the channel. Today's video is titled, Are You Living in Fight or Flight Mode? So first off, I want to apologize about the lighting. I typically never, and I mean never, film this early. It is about 9 a.m. where I am. I am not an early bird. I typically film in the early to late afternoons. So the sun is at like a position where it's highlighting my phone and the stand on my chest. So we're just going to deal with it because I really wanted to get this message out. It was the first thing that popped into my head this morning right before I went into meditation. And I decided that, I just wanted to film it as soon as possible before I kind of forgot the message. So I started thinking about this topic last night. And the reason why is because I was cleaning up and brushing my teeth and getting ready for bed. And my husband's in the living room and he's flipping through the channels and he's super annoyed because he sees that everything that is on the channels is basically bullshit. And so he began watching this really old movie that was kind of like cowboy themed or Western themed. And he caught like the last few minutes and it was just a bunch of people shooting at each other. And he asked me, he's like, why does there always have to be shooting? And then as soon as that went off, the next thing that came on was another old Western movie and it began with a ton of shooting as well. Then he flips the channel and it's the news and it talks about someone who had been murdered. I don't know how, but they were just talking about it. And then he goes, of course, like more death, more violence that they're constantly shoving down our throats. And as he was flipping through the channels and he said something like, why do they constantly have to show violence on TV? And I know he was asking a rhetorical question because we both know why, but I always tend to respond seriously. And I was like, well, the reason why they have to show so much violence on TV is because the powers that be want us to stay in a barbaric state so that we don't ascend to a higher consciousness. And basically he's like, yeah, I know you're right. Then I started thinking about the irony that so many people all around the world are so afraid, so fearful of death, of dying. And yet, all they do all day long is literally and figuratively consume death. Images of death, videos of death, news stories of death. They're watching the death counts on CNN. I don't know if they're still doing that, but I made a video about that before. Talking to people. Friends and family, strangers, neighbors. Oh, did you hear how many people died? Did you know that people are dying? Yes, I did, actually. But the moment I stopped personally being afraid of death is the moment I felt so free. I came to realize, and I believe, that we have multiple lives, that we are infinite. We are multi-dimensional, infinite beings, spiritual beings having a human experience. We have lived multiple lives. And there are a lot of people who can remember these past lives. And others who go to past life regression therapists. And they discover their past lives that way. I totally believe in that. I haven't done that yet, but it's on my to-do list. And even if I didn't believe in reincarnation, I know that none of us are getting out of this life alive. Death is a natural part of life. It's a natural process that will happen to each and every one of us. So then my question was, how am I going to live my life to the fullest? Am I going to spend it living in fear of possibly dying when I know already that I'm going to die one day and everyone around me is going to? Or am I going to live it in love and freedom and live my best life as much as possible? So many people are so afraid of death that they forget to live. And since this whole pandemic started,
everything from COVID-19 and our efforts to address the global pandemic to regional security issues.
I started full-time RVing at the start of everything, before the lockdowns, before the mask, right before. And with traveling so much and going to so many different states, so many little towns all around the country, I looked around and my reality was nothing like people were telling me was happening on the news. And that's been my experience with the news my whole life. The news is always like everything and everyone is out to get you, be fearful, blah, 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 stay safe, all of this stuff. And I have not experienced anything remotely close to what the news tells me the reality is. My reality is way different from what the news reports. And now that I know about the law of attraction and how we create our reality, I make sure to really do my best to keep my vibration high to attract positive experiences as much as possible. And even with the so-called negative experiences, I know that they're meant to be because they're lessons that help me grow. So really, it's all positive if you look at it that way. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not cautious when I feel I need to be. I trust my intuition. I trust my gut instinct. When something or someone doesn't feel right, I leave, or I find a way to distance myself. It doesn't mean that I'm ignorant to what's going on in the world. I know what's going on in the world, but I know two different versions. What I believe is fake and what I believe is real, or the truth. And that's what I align to. Not what the mass majority is fed. I don't feel that I'm ignorant because I'm not fearful all the time. There is a huge difference between fear, which is false evidence appearing real, and danger. The mainstream media will have people afraid to go into nature because, oh no, a bear is going to eat you. You're going to be attacked by a wolf. You're going to be bitten by a snake and die. That's fear, false evidence appearing real. Danger is if you're actually right in front of a bear who looks angry, they're on their hind legs, they got their paws up, they're showing their claws, and they're growling at you. That's danger. That is the appropriate time to be in fight or flight mode. What are you going to do? And the best thing to do, instead of just not going into nature and hiding in your house and stop living your life because you're afraid that you might one day be attacked by a bear, is to prepare yourself as much as possible, mentally and physically. What I like to do is to research what are the best tips if you encounter a bear or you encounter a cougar. I've seen a lot of signs for cougars in places I've gone hiking. Maybe carry bear spray. Maybe walk on more populated trails that are busier. All trails will tell you how busy certain trails are. Maybe hike in a group. There are different options if you're that afraid, but want to push past the fear instead of just opting out of life altogether. I used to be terrified of snakes. And now when I go hiking, I've seen quite a few snakes, different kinds, different colors, different lengths. And every time I've seen one, they look at me, I look at them, we're looking at each other in the eyes, and they slither away as quickly as possible because they're as afraid of me as I am of them. And if I did get bitten by a snake accidentally, I have a snake bite kit, one that sucks venom out. Never had to use it, not for that. But I like to be prepared. It helps me feel mentally safe. The thing is that our subconscious doesn't know the difference between what's really happening and what's just being shown as happening. So if we watch the news and we watch someone being murdered, or we watch a TV show or a movie and we're watching people be killed, our subconscious doesn't know that that's not really happening. That we're not really, let's say, in a room with these people. We're watching it happening, and we're watching it as it happens, and now we're afraid that it's going to happen to us. Consciously, we know this is a screen. This isn't really happening right here and now. But subconsciously, it doesn't know. And it's the same with your thoughts. Your subconscious doesn't know what thoughts are real and what thoughts are not real. So you can have thoughts about, let's say you're on a roller coaster and you're thinking, wow, this is so much fun, or wow, this is kind of scary. It doesn't know that that's real or not. Or if you have thoughts of, oh my goodness, I'm so afraid to go out and leave my house because I'm afraid of, dying from millions of ways to die in society. Or if you keep thinking about a bear attacking you, your mind, your subconscious mind does not know that you're not being attacked by a bear. So when you live in fear, false evidence appearing real, when you're thinking these thoughts, you're feeling these feelings, you have these beliefs, and your subconscious is playing it out as real, you're literally living in it mentally, even though nothing is happening physically. So that's why it's so important to choose your thoughts, be conscious of them. Let go of the thoughts and the beliefs and the feelings that no longer serve you, that are not helping you reach your highest good, your highest vibration. I was talking to a friend about this once, and she was telling me that she was reading on how people get so addicted to cortisol, which is produced from stress and fear of what could happen or the unknown is one cause of stress that a lot of people are going through. So their cortisol levels are up and they're addicted to it. When they're not getting that hit, that fear that's feeding the adrenaline, that's feeding the cortisol, then they go and look for it. That's when they turn on the news. They got to know. Even if they're feeling relatively calm and at peace at that moment, if everything seems like it's going well, they got to know about the bad things that are happening, the drama of it all, the fear-induced media. And our bodies are not meant to live in perpetual states of fear and stress. That is what shortens lifespans. I don't know by how much on average. I'm sure it's different for everyone. But that fight, flight, or even freeze mode is only meant to be used sparingly when you're actually in danger, not because you're fearful of possibly becoming in danger. There's a huge difference there. Another example for me is when I first started full-time RVing and we were boondocking in the middle of nowhere, just surrounded by nature for miles, no people around. And it would be pitch black sometimes when the moon wasn't out. And we only have lighting outside on one side of the RV. So when I had to go to the other side for something, even though I had a headlamp, I was still freaked out. I kept thinking something's going to come out and attack me. Some animal, some person, something. And I had to ask myself, I'm like, why am I afraid of that? Nothing's ever happened. And I'm on guard. I'm aware of my surroundings. I'm listening to anything that's out there. And I had to realize that it was just a fear. It wasn't actually happening. It was just in my head. I wasn't actually in danger. And when I accepted that, I stopped being afraid. Now I'm more confident. And I had to remind myself, not everyone and everything is out to get me. Not everyone and everything's out to attack us or to do us harm. A lot of us are just trying to live our lives to the best of our ability. We're not focused on trying to harm other people. Some people, yeah, they are. But for the most part, people aren't. At least that's been my experience. So I invite everyone, and I know a lot of you are already awakened and you already know what's going on and you're truth seekers, so I'm just preaching to the choir, but I invite everyone to just turn off the TV. Turn off your phone. Disconnect. Unplug from the matrix. Go for a walk in nature. That's what I've been doing pretty much these last 2 years. I've been traveling around. I've been meeting all kinds of people who are not fearful. None of us are wearing masks. We're all talking to each other close up, even giving hugs sometimes. We're still living our life. I would rather live my life with the risk of dying than to be locked in a cage like my house for the rest of my life, fearful of possibly dying. And I will always fight for freedom. Couple quotes I want to read. 2 of my favorite freedom quotes. Better to die fighting for freedom than to be a prisoner all the days of your life. Bob Marley. They who can give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty or safety. Benjamin Franklin. Fear does not stop death. It stops life. Those in power, they don't want COVID to be over. A lot of people think if we just follow the rules, it'll be over soon. They want us in fear for the rest of our lives, distance from each other, touchless everything sanitized all the time. But we're not robots. No matter how hard they try to turn us into robots, we're not robots. We're still humans with feelings and consciousness. So I will continue the fight for freedom. I'm not going to wear a mask. I already naturally social distance because I don't feel the need to be all up in people's spaces. And I'm not going to get the jab. I'm going to keep my immune system up and healthy like I've been doing for the last few years. And I'm not going to consume the fear. If ever I feel like I'm in danger, fight or flight mode will come in handy. But until then, I'm just going to keep living my life. Just want to end this video with a quote by Ralph Smart. One of my favorite quotes by him is, "Let love guide you, not fear." As always, I hope to see you guys in the next video. Sending you much love and light. Bye.